generational forces, Gen Zs, that's the future. I think India has probably the largest Gen Z population in the world. And this segment is very different. They care about different things. They interact with things differently. I think, when we were young and we were in the same age, how many of us cared about sustainability? How many of us cared about fairness, equality, diversity, right? All of these things are very important to this segment Gen Z, right? So I'll talk about three specific things: knowledge, skills, and then flexibility, right? And I'm sure as HR professionals, HR leaders, these are the things which are top of mind, and if they are not, they should be, right? So good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be here today. It's a pleasure to see all of you here together, and thanks to Sapphire for inviting me. It's an interesting time we are living in, I think, and as a conference is about decoding, discovering, and determining the future, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the world around us, what are we seeing, and then from there, I think you all, and there's so many knowledge, there's so much in this room that you all will talk about this, you will figure out what's the way forward, right? So I think since last few years, and I came back from Singapore in 2019, since then the world has been a very different place. It's changed so much. I feel like all of these cycles used to be like a 5-year, 10-year cycles. Now all of that has been compressed in 3 years. A pandemic, a boom in the middle of pandemic on the tech, then the great war of talent, the great resignation, the Ukraine war, like there's so much happening around us, right? Inflation. So a lot is changing around us, and world is in a constant state of motion. And I think as you think about this, there are 4 forces which are impacting us right now. These are the 4 forces which are playing, and this is creating so much change around us. So what are these 4 forces? Cultural forces. Cultural forces where the future of work, the hybrid work is changing a lot of things. Internet is ever present. I was just talking to Ankit about how kids are leveraging internet to gain knowledge. But what's happening on the internet is that the trust is becoming much more important, right? Especially with AI coming now, you want to be very sure that the person I'm talking on the other side is a real person or not. So trust will play a very important role as we go forward, and that's something which is going to be inherently built into everything we do. Generational forces, Gen Zs, that's the future. I think India has probably the largest Gen Z population in the world, and this segment is very different. They care about different things. They interact with things differently. I think, when we were young and we were in the same age, how many of us cared about sustainability? How many of us cared about fairness, equality, diversity, right? All of these things are very important to this segment Gen Z. And they're driving a lot of those things. So in future, and there are so many HR leaders in here, as we think about the future, we'll have to take care of their needs and design our policies and thinkings around Gen Zs. Economic forces, I mean, so much has happened on the economic side. I think the world went, in last 10 years back, there was so much around globalization. But I feel like some bits of the globalization is now coming apart. Like their countries are making sure that their needs are first taken care of, right? Especially in pandemic, we saw that supply chains were broken globally, right? So I was talking to somebody and they were saying like, my first job is to ensure that what I need for my own country is secure. And then I worry about all other things, right? So economic forces are coming. Inflation is driving a lot of different things, economic slowdown, right? So these forces are prevalent and they define a lot of our thinking, especially on the company side. They're defining a lot of management thinking. And the last one, which all of you know, and I am sure all of you talk about, is the technological changes, especially with AI. I think we are on a verge of something very interesting. I don't know how many of you remember when internet came and it became a prevalent technology. By the way, internet, before it got into our hands, was many years, many people were using it. It's just the browsers changed everything. Browsers gave us the capability to interact with the internet. And same thing is happening right now, exactly this moment, where AI has existed for many, many years. We at LinkedIn, we have used AI for 15 years, but it was in the background. For first time through generative AI, we have an interface which lets you interact with the AI, and that is the defining moment. So I believe this is a huge disruption coming our way, and it's very, very important for us to be ready for it. So these four forces are very, very powerful, and they will shape bunch of different things. And future of work, the skills landscape, the way we work, right? So I'll talk about three specific things: knowledge, skills, and then flexibility, right? And I'm sure as HR professionals, HR leaders, these are the things which are top of mind, and if they are not, they should be, right? So let's talk about each one of them one by one. So knowledge. So what we have seen at LinkedIn is that LinkedIn India specifically, knowledge-seeking behavior. I, as a LinkedIn member, want to get knowledge, want to ensure that I upskill myself, reskill myself all the time. So the content which is knowledge giving is the most popular content on the LinkedIn. India is the #1 country worldwide now on LinkedIn on knowledge seeking behavior. That's so telling, right? So what it means is that members are spending more time, they're taking more control on their own upskilling, reskilling, and their own development. And now, how should we translate it into what all of you do? What it means is that the development of employees is going to be one of the most important things going forward, and L&D function will become really important, right? In fact, if you ask a candidate, what are the things which are most important for you when you look for a job or to apply for a company, their own development will feature in top 3 things, along with compensation and one more thing which I'm going to talk about later, right? So development is so important, and we are seeing that on LinkedIn, and all candidates are asking for it. So as you guys think about the future, your own company's philosophy and policies around development of employees is going to be very, very important. Not only for the employees who are willing to join, but the employees who are there today in your company, how you're developing them, how you're reskilling them, how you're upskilling them with AI coming. Ryan, our CEO, says that your next best employee might be somewhere in your company today, right? So as much as we care about hiring people outside, internal mobility will become very important. And what drives internal mobility is development of skills, reskilling people, right? So knowledge is very important. Second, and I say skills is the new currency in the current world. At LinkedIn, we say skills is the new currency and network is the new net worth, right? But I won't talk about network, which is my favorite topic, not today. Let's talk about skills first. Skills first is the new thinking which is happening around the world, and we at LinkedIn, we have taken a position that we want to be at the forefront of it. We want to be the change makers which drive this change. Pedigree-based hiring is a thing of past. I think all of us have done it. I'm guilty of it as well, right? I call it templatized hiring. What does that templatized hiring mean? When you talk to your recruiter, you say, I want this person from this school, from this company, with this many years of experience, right? You already kind of built a template for the person you want to hire. You just want to put a face to it, right? We were all very attracted to pedigree. But in this conversation, we never talked about the capabilities and skills. And that is the future, right? And that's what we are seeing. 50% of recruiters now have adopted skills-first hiring. So essentially, skills-first hiring is where you just focus on the skills required for the job. And then you assess whether that person has the skills or not, right? So skills-first hiring is the future. We are seeing that, and that the trend is picking up. The 91% recruiters are also focusing on upskilling and reskilling. And the members and the people who are applying, they are focusing themselves on upskilling and reskilling. And then on the other side, so this is probably the supply side, the demand side. On LinkedIn Learning, our members have spent 4.6 million hours on LinkedIn Learning, which is 2x the number of hours spent by the members in US on LinkedIn Learning. So it's happening right now, right? People are using LinkedIn Learning to upskill, reskill. The members are taking the control in their hands, saying, I will focus it. When pandemic happened, the first lockdown happened, I got a report saying that our LinkedIn learning number of hours spent on learning is shooting through the roof. And I was like, what's happening here? I thought people are busy cooking bread, playing games at home. No, people were really using LinkedIn learning to upskill, reskill, because a lot of people realize when the world opens up, things will change, right? So they were leveraging this by upskilling and getting those new skills. So skills is a new currency of the future, and it's important for us as the HR leaders in the room to build that capability, to help employees build that capability in the organization through L&D, through their own development, and continuous focus on skills. At LinkedIn, we give a 1 day a month to employees, real focus, no meetings, just giving that time to use that time to reskill and upskill and learn new things, right? Connected with skills is something which is happening, which is, it'll be a miss today not to talk about it, right? So new skills, which are really, really important, sustainability, green skills. But this one particular thing is gonna be the future, and it's gonna be so important, right? Artificial intelligence. AI skills is gonna be the new demand in the market. Already in India, we are already seeing the 3.2x usage of AI skills by the members. These particular words on the profile, prompt engineering, chat GPT, generative AI, 73% increase of such things on the profiles of members from March this year to April. In 1 month, 70% increase on these keywords on members' profiles, right? So it's really happening. It's happening very, very fast. And then another point again on like LinkedIn Learning is a great way to learn what's happening, what our members are learning. Generative AI skills. Look at the graph. It's just shooting up, right? From the time ChatGPT was launched. So I think AI, is also fundamentally going to start impacting some of the HR functions, right? Again, I don't want to go to the part where people talk about it's going to replace people. No, it's not going to replace people. The way to think about AI is it's your co-pilot. It's somebody who's going to be there with you, making you more efficient. I'll give you an example. I'm sure all of people in this room have been involved in the hiring process at some stage, right? When I hire, one of the things, or when I'm in an interview, one of the things which I have to focus on making notes. As the person is speaking, I want to capture a few of those things, because two things. After the interview, I want to reflect on what happened. And then second, I have to put those notes into the hiring system to capture my feedback. But what happens when you're doing the notes? You are not listening. You're not focusing on the soft cues the candidate is giving, the body language, when you ask question, the way the person is reacting. Somewhere half of your mind is making those notes. Now imagine, in that interview, generative AI, either on Zoom, on chat, or Teams is present and is scribing for you. AI is taking notes. By the way, Microsoft Teams has that capability, that if you do that call, it will start scribing. I think it's a new feature we are building on. So now, imagine that. You don't have to take notes. Your sole focus is looking at the candidate, listening to the candidate, and looking at those other cues which the candidate is giving. And once the interview is done, AI sends you the script. You can reflect on that script. You can take parts of that, put it in your system, right? So it's going to make you really efficient. And the word I use is, it's your co-pilot, right? In all the functions, already at LinkedIn, we are helping, leverage generative AI to write job descriptions, right? As HR people and as, talent acquisition people in the room, you will realize how cumbersome it is to do those job descriptions, right? Right? All of these things can be done through generative AI. It will never replace you. I think never is a strong word, but I'm going to still use it. It probably won't replace you in the near future. But the thing I'm saying is it's going to make you efficient and productive. And that's the right way to think about the AI. So AI, really important. I know there's a session on algorithmic hiring in the today's agenda. It's going to be really important to understand this. And I highly encourage each one of you, We have made 100 courses free on LinkedIn on generative AI and AI. Leverage that. It's very important to understand ourselves, what it means and how to leverage it, right? Um, so all of this takes us to our favorite topic, right? That flexibility is what the candidates are asking for. By the way, I've never seen this. We recently did a research of the top things which a candidate looks when they apply for in a company, and compensation has been the number one factor for many years, right? Even in our internal surveys, when we ask company, our employees, compensation is number one. It's completely changed now. What we found, work-life balance has become the number one factor which the candidates are looking for. I've heard from recruiters that many candidates in the interviews are asking, this is all great. Tell me about your flexible work policy. How many days I have to be in office? Can I work from wherever I want? Right? So these things are going to become really, really important. Even if you look at the data, if there's a job which puts flexibility in the job description or in the job, 46% increase in the views. There's 49% increase in applications when you put that on the job description, right? So flexibility is here to stay. And, I think since we have opened up, a little bit of debate is going on about productivity, about what's the way, do we need employees in the office? I think, again, flexibility is not equal to remote. Let me again say, flexibility is about, where the employees want to work, where they do their best job. And it can be in office, it can be at the home, and not all days have to be the same. You can say that some days you will be in office, some days you will not. So the world is flexibility, and I highly encourage for all of you to think about it the conference theme is really determine. I think you need to determine what's right for you as going forward, but you cannot ignore flexibility. And the connected thing with flexibility is something which we all have a role to play is on the diversity side, right? Like the participation of women in the labor force in India is something which we'll have to work together to solve for. It's one of the lowest in the developing countries. We really need to improve it. In fact, we have really taken a step back on that in last 12 months. Across, I've looked at the data across, women in senior management, women in STEM, women at even at the entry level, all of those numbers are declining, right? So flexibility is going to be a very important part of bringing more women into the workforce. Women have multiple roles to play, not just work, but they have their mother, they take care of the family, and that's where flexibility gives them that additional advantage of being able to do all of those roles well, right? So I think as a community, we'll have to determine the way forward and really, really work on those policies where the participation of women in the workforce really, really stays strong. And we as a country have to do a lot in that space. So this takes me to my last slide. It's important as business leaders to keep your business strong and do well. But it's also important as business leaders to continue doing good for the society at the large. I think companies which build strong business models and continue to do good for the society have a competitive advantage. And that's something which I want to leave with you as a last thought, that doing well and doing good are very, very important. So when I was talking about the women participation in the workforce, not only from as a country, but our roles of doing good for that community is very, very important as well. I think at LinkedIn we talk about network gap, where not every network is strong, not everybody has that strong network. We need to help people build strong network. Networks are built by where you are born, which school you go to, which companies you work. That's how you build the network, right? I think in the same way, we need to help people bridge that network gap by helping them, reaching out to the people who don't have strong networks and giving them the opportunity to build a strong networks. And same way, on the women's side, we need to increase the women participation in the workforce, because diversity and building an inclusive workforce is a real differentiator when it comes to the company's competitive strengths. So these are some of the thoughts I thought I'll share with you today morning. Hopefully some of these are thought starters for all the interesting panels which are going to happen. Hopefully this will give you some of the data points to kickstart some of those conversations. But once again, it's been a pleasure today morning to come here and talk to you, all of you, and share some of those trends and share some of those insights. Thank you, and have a great and a good, interesting discussion day with each of you. Thank you so much.